Have you ever wondered if a man is truly into you, even when he hasn't said a single word about his feelings? The truth is, you don't always need a confession, because the body never lies, while his lips stay silent. His gestures, glances, and presence speak volumes. If you know what to look for, you'll see that attraction isn't hidden. It's just quietly revealed, one behavior at a time. Subtle mirroring is the quiet choreography of two nervous systems reaching for harmony. When a man is drawn to you, his body starts to echo yours long before his lips shape words about feelings. You lift your coffee cup, he lifts his glass. You tilt your head, he mirrors the angle without noticing. You shift the weight of one leg, he does the same a beat later. This is not calculated mimicry, but the limbic brain's attempt to say, I'm safe, and I want to be close. In early childhood, we learn connection through imitation. Babies smile back at smiling faces. So the adult lover's mirroring is a return to that original language of trust. Neurologically, mirror neurons fire when we observe someone's movement, priming us to reenact it, and in doing so, taste the other person's experience from within. The more emotionally charged the encounter, the stronger this neural resonance grows. If you have ever caught yourself laughing in sync, lowering your voice to the same softness, or pausing simultaneously to listen, you have felt this secret duet. Many people assume flirting is all sparkle and wit, yet mirroring suggests that attraction is also a wish for sameness, for the comfort of being seen and understood without explanation. Notice how subtly he matches your walking tempo on a crowded street, or how his breathing slows when yours does during a lull in conversation. These micro adjustments are invitations to mutual regulation, small promises that your nervous systems can find a rhythm together. At times he may scarcely be aware he is doing it, but if you break rapport, crossing your arms or glancing away, he often recalibrates, unfolding his arms or shifting closer to reestablish the link. Even conflict can expose mirroring. Voices rise and fall in parallel like stormy waves, revealing that emotional attunement persists beneath disagreement. Remember, though, that mirroring is not proof of virtue. A practiced manipulator can imitate to gain favor, so the signal only gains meaning when paired with consistency, respect, and genuine curiosity about your inner world. To discern authenticity, look for unplanned moments. The shared sigh after a long day, the synchronized lean toward a painting that catches you both, the mutual stillness when words feel too heavy. Those are flashes of unscripted communion, hard to fake and harder to hide. When you catch him mirroring you, linger in the awareness, but stay yourself. The beauty of this dance is that it thrives on authenticity. In the gentle loop of give and receive, you remain distinct yet connected, two melodies that choose to play in key. If you can sense his echo and still move freely, you will know that attraction is becoming partnership, and that his subtle mirroring is not just flirtation, but a tender rehearsal for deeper belonging. Prolonged eye contact is one of the most intimate and revealing behaviors a man exhibits when he's genuinely into someone. It's not merely a look, it's a silent conversation, a pause in the noise of the world where connection speaks louder than words. When a man gazes into your eyes longer than necessary, it's not always conscious, it's often his nervous system betraying his internal pull toward you. He may begin by casually glancing your way, but over time those glances evolve into longer holds, as if he's trying to read something only your eyes can express. This kind of gaze is different from a stare, which can feel intrusive or aggressive. Instead, it carries warmth, softness, a searching quality. It's the look of someone who wants to be understood and who is trying to understand you in return. Psychologically, eye contact activates a sense of vulnerability and presence. It's difficult to maintain unless one feels emotionally open or deeply interested. When a man holds your gaze, he's not just looking at you, he's allowing you to see him. It's a moment where guards drop, even slightly, and a more honest version of himself steps forward. Often during these exchanges, words begin to fade into the background. You might find that a conversation slows or becomes quieter because the eyes are carrying the emotional weight of the moment. That lingering gaze can communicate admiration, desire, sincerity, or even confusion. What matters is the depth and consistency of it. Sometimes eye contact appears in fleeting moments. A man might look at you when he thinks you're not watching and quickly glance away when your eyes meet his. These moments of stolen attention reveal as much, if not more, than the bold stares. There's a kind of truth in what the eyes do when the mind is unguarded. If you catch him doing this repeatedly, it's a strong sign that you occupy his thoughts more often than he admits. His gaze may soften when you laugh or lock onto you when someone else enters the room, as if confirming that his focus remains on you regardless of distractions. In moments of shared silence, prolonged eye contact becomes a bridge. It helps bypass surface-level conversation and invites emotional resonance. That kind of eye contact doesn't ask for permission, it just happens. And in that happening, you feel a subtle shift, a tension filled, not with discomfort, but with possibility. Some men try to play it cool, but their eyes give them away. The eyes are honest. They often tell the story before the mouth can form the words. When you feel that sustained connection, when his gaze lingers a heartbeat longer than it needs to, it's a quiet confession. He may not say he's into you yet, but in that gaze he already has. Nervous fidgeting or grooming gestures are subtle signals that reveal the internal emotional state of a man who is into you. While many men try to appear composed or confident, their body often betrays their feelings in quiet, involuntary ways. These are not grand gestures, but small, repetitive actions, adjusting a collar, smoothing down hair, touching the face, tapping fingers, or shifting weight from one foot to another. These behaviors are not random. They are rooted in the subconscious attempt to self-soothe under emotional pressure or excitement. When a man finds himself in the presence of someone he's drawn to, his physiological response changes. Heart rate rises, muscles tense slightly, and a heightened awareness of appearance and behavior kicks in. The result is this barely noticeable restlessness, as though he's trying to keep himself in check while being undeniably affected by you. Often he becomes more aware of how he looks. Even if he doesn't say it aloud, he may fix his shirt, brush imaginary lint from his pants, or subtly check his reflection in a nearby surface. These are not signs of vanity, but indicators of care. He wants to look his best for you. He may not realize he's doing it, but his body is preparing, polishing, trying to send the message that he's desirable and confident. What's fascinating is that these behaviors often increase in frequency the more he tries to suppress how he feels. He might play with a ring, tap a pen, or run his hands through his hair multiple times in one conversation. These gestures are physical outlets for emotional energy that doesn't know where else to go. There is also an element of vulnerability in fidgeting. It shows that he is not fully in control of how deeply he is affected by your presence. If you watch closely, you might notice that he becomes still when you speak, hanging on to your words, only to resume these small gestures when he speaks or when the silence sets in. That silence, where his words haven't caught up with his feelings, is often where the nervous movements emerge most. It's a pause filled with meaning and electricity, where his hands speak because his voice is still catching up. In group settings, this behavior becomes even more revealing. If he seems calm with others but becomes visibly restless or overly aware when you're near, it's a clear shift. His behaviors adapt to your presence, not by conscious choice, but because you matter. His actions may not be bold declarations, but they are sincere indicators that his emotions are stirred. The beauty in these small movements lies in their honesty. They are unfiltered reflections of his inner world. While he may try to remain casual on the surface, the body quietly hums with tension, anticipation, and interest. These nervous signals, though easily overlooked, speak volumes. They are like a trembling wire carrying emotional current, letting you know that something meaningful is unfolding beneath the surface. Playful teasing and banter are often misunderstood as merely light-hearted exchanges, but when a man is genuinely into you, these moments hold far more depth than they seem. Teasing becomes a form of emotional testing, a way for him to check the waters of your connection while hiding vulnerability behind humor. It's a safe place where he can express affection without putting his full heart on the line. A sarcastic comment, a mischievous smirk, or cleverly worded joke. These are not just attempts at humor, but coded messages meant to spark your attention and invite you into his world. He might comment on your coffee order, poke fun at your favorite TV show, or lightly challenge something you say, not to diminish you, but to engage you. This kind of interaction creates a rhythm between you, a dance where he offers a playful nudge and waits to see if you step forward with your own. Banter thrives on mutual energy. When a man teases you in a way that makes you smile rather than shrink, it's often a sign that he's attuned to your boundaries. He wants to make you laugh, not to hurt, but to build a bridge where trust can grow. He might toss a witty line your way and glance quickly to see your reaction. That glance is not for ego. It's a quiet hope for connection. When you play back, when you tease him in return, it signals that the space between you is safe, warm, and electric. These exchanges are not distractions from deeper emotion. They are the training ground for it. Through laughter, tension eases, walls drop, and emotional intimacy begins to form. Often, teasing becomes more personalized over time. He remembers little things you've said and brings them back in jest, not to mock, but to show he's been listening. If you once mentioned being clumsy, he might joke about bubble wrapping your phone. If you confessed a guilty pleasure, he might tease you about it in a way that makes you feel known, not judged. These specific playful references reveal that he's holding onto pieces of you and turning them into private language. This inside humor becomes a sign of closeness, a unique world where just the two of you speak a certain dialect. There's also a protective side to banter. If he senses you're having a rough day, he may use humor to lift your mood, not as a way to ignore your feelings, but to offer a brief escape. His playful side becomes a gift, an offering of lightness when life feels heavy. It's important to watch how he reacts when the playfulness pauses. If his teasing immediately softens when you appear hurt or uncomfortable, it shows emotional awareness. He's not flirting for the sake of ego. He's engaging to connect, to see you smile, to test if you're as drawn to him as he is to you. In these witty exchanges lies an emotional undercurrent, a careful balance between boldness and care. Protective gestures are some of the most instinctive and telling signs that a man is genuinely into you. Unlike words which can be rehearsed or withheld, these subtle actions arise from a place that often bypasses conscious thought. When a man cares about someone, even in the early stages of attraction, his body naturally responds in ways that prioritize her safety and comfort. You'll see it in the way he positions himself when walking beside you, choosing the side closer to traffic or stepping slightly ahead when crossing unfamiliar places. These choices aren't dramatic declarations. They're quiet signals that say, "I've got you," even when no danger is present. These are ingrained behaviors shaped by emotional investment and the subtle urge to shield what he values. He may offer you his jacket without hesitation when it's cold, not just out of politeness, but because your discomfort registers in his awareness as something he wants to resolve. If someone bumps into you in a crowd, his arm may instinctively reach out to steady you or guide you through. These acts, though brief and unspoken, reflect a protective instinct that emerges when he's emotionally attuned. In casual settings, his attention shifts toward your well-being. If you're walking through a busy place, he'll subtly scan the environment, as though making sure everything around you remains in order. He may even check in without words, pausing to match your pace, glancing to see if you're okay, noticing when your energy dips, and responding in ways that offer calm. When someone else speaks to you in a way that makes you uneasy, his body often responds before his mind fully catches up. He may step closer, his posture shifts, or his tone becomes firmer, not in a possessive or aggressive way, but in a manner that reestablishes a sense of safety. These gestures are especially revealing when they appear consistently, not as grand gestures, but as reliable patterns. He doesn't make a show of them. And he may not even realize he's doing them, but his behavior reflects an emotional contract forming beneath the surface. To care, to be present, and to protect in whatever small way he can. You'll notice it too, and how he responds to your emotions. If you're tired, anxious, or frustrated, he may not always know what to say, but his energy shifts to a calmer frequency. He might offer to carry something, cancel his own plans to be available, or stay longer than expected just to make sure you're okay. These gestures, though seemingly simple, speak to a desire to be your anchor, to offer steadiness in a world that often feels unpredictable. His protectiveness doesn't aim to overpower or control, but to create a space where you feel secure, respected, and cared for. It's not about fixing everything. It's about being someone who stays close, someone who instinctively leans toward you when life moves too fast or too hard. And in those subtle movements, the depth of his feeling begins to show. Increased presence and availability are powerful yet often overlooked indicators that a man is truly into you. When someone is emotionally invested, their priorities begin to shift. Time and attention, once carefully managed and distributed, start leaning in your direction without needing an invitation. A man who is genuinely drawn to you doesn't rely solely on grand romantic gestures. Instead, he finds reasons to be near you, to enter your world more frequently, and to stay longer than necessary. His desire to be around you transcends logic. It becomes a quiet pull he follows, almost instinctively. You might notice that he starts appearing in spaces where you're likely to be, not in a way that feels forced or invasive, but subtly timed, as if coincidence has begun working overtime. He might text more often, not necessarily with deep conversations every time, but with small check-ins. Did you see that? Or, this reminded me of you. These short messages are not about content, but connection. They keep a thread between you, a gentle tap on the emotional door that says, I'm thinking of you. His availability increases, and suddenly he has time even when he's busy. He might adjust his schedule, suggest future plans, or be quick to respond when you reach out. He doesn't disappear for long periods without explanation, and he doesn't make you guess whether he wants to be around. His consistent presence speaks for itself. Sometimes it's the way he chooses to show up. If you're sick, stressed, or just having a hard day, he might check in, offer to help, or simply listen. His presence becomes a form of comfort, not a demand. He doesn't crowd your space, but he makes it known he's there if needed. These gestures stem from a genuine emotional investment. He wants to be a part of your highs and lows, your ordinary moments and special ones alike. Even when he's not physically present, he finds ways to be emotionally available. You might notice that he remembers details you've shared or follows up on things that matter to you, showing that his attention is active and ongoing. In group settings, he often gravitates toward you, even when surrounded by others. He may sit closer, find moments for private exchanges, or subtly shift his attention to you when something funny or interesting happens, as if your reaction matters more than the event itself. These actions reveal his internal compass, which quietly points in your direction no matter the setting. His presence isn't about control or obligation, it's about desire. He simply wants to be where you are, not because he has to, but because something about your energy, your presence, brings him into a more alive, more attentive version of himself. His increased presence is not loud or possessive, but steady, intentional, and quietly persuasive. Over time, you begin to notice that no matter what is going on around you, he keeps showing up, and that constancy is one of the clearest signs of his growing affection. Leaning in and physical touch are among the most primal and instinctive ways a man reveals his interest, often without consciously realizing he's doing it. The body speaks long before the words catch up, and in the language of closeness, proximity says everything. When a man is genuinely into you, you'll notice how he orients his entire body toward you, not just his face, but his shoulders, his chest, his feet. He leans in slightly when you talk, even in crowded or noisy places where others might pull back. This leaning is not simply about hearing better. It's about entering your space, inviting deeper connection, and signaling that he's fully present with you. There is an unconscious desire to bridge the physical gap, to lessen the distance between his world and yours. It is subtle, yet deeply intimate. You might catch him sitting closer than necessary, even if space allows more room. If you're walking together, his steps may unconsciously match yours, and the space between you remains just close enough to suggest comfort, not pressure. These actions don't always call attention to themselves, but they have emotional weight. They are expressions of interest that arise not from strategy, but from feeling. The body seeks what the heart is drawn to, and that pull reveals itself in how near he places himself to you without speaking a word. Then comes touch, often small and seemingly innocent at first, a light hand on your back as you walk through a doorway, a brief touch on your arm during laughter, a playful nudge when joking around. These moments are not accidental. Even if they are casual in appearance, they are often testing emotional waters. Touch is one of the most personal forms of connection, and initiating it requires a certain level of comfort and courage. A man who's interested will find gentle, respectful ways to establish that bridge, gauging your response while silently asking, is this space safe between us? You may also notice how he responds when you initiate touch. If you brush against him or rest your hand briefly on his arm, he may linger a little longer than necessary before pulling away, or his expression may soften in a way that feels telling. The quality of his touch also reveals much. It is not hurried or invasive, but careful, attentive, tuned to your comfort. He may even find excuses to extend touch, like brushing away a strand of hair, adjusting a scarf, or high-fiving just a little longer than normal. In moments of emotional intensity, whether joy or vulnerability, he may instinctively close that physical gap, sitting a little closer, holding eye contact a little longer, reaching out when words fall short. These gestures build an unspoken trust, a shared emotional language that deepens without needing to be defined. His body will often reveal what he may still be afraid to say aloud. And in the way he leans closer, in the gentleness of every brief intentional touch, his feelings begin to take form in the most human way possible. When a man is truly into you, his actions speak in a language far more honest than words. Through subtle mirroring, lingering eye contact, nervous fidgeting, playful teasing, protective instincts, consistent presence, and the natural pull of physical closeness, he reveals the depth of his interest without even trying to. These behaviors aren't scripted or planned. They emerge from an emotional current he can't fully control. They show up in the pauses, the glances, the gestures that seem small but carry tremendous meaning. When you learn to read these signs, not just with your eyes, but with your intuition, you begin to understand how affection shows itself long before love is confessed. These moments, taken together, form a pattern, one that whispers with quiet certainty that his heart is already leaning in your direction.